Thank you and welcome today to the Texas High School Athletic Directors Association Region 6 meeting. We're hoping that you are able to be with us, and if you're not, this will be, I believe, Bob, recorded so that people can check in at a later time when it's more toward their schedule. We have all mostly started back in some form or fashion of school, so I understand that your time is very valuable. We'll try to keep this meeting around an hour and a half. Those of you that are coming in to the meeting, if you will please go into the chat room and sign in. Let us know where you're coming from. We would appreciate that. And we're going to start today's meeting off with Marty Criswell giving us a devotion and a word from God and to bless all of us in these times that we're in. Marty?
And don't we need it? As we get started, I just wanted to give a shout out to Susan and to Charles and everybody at the UIL. I'm telling you, you'd be shocked to know that the UIL has been criticized through the years, but you know, about these rules aren't fair and all this stuff, and you know, being hard asses on everything. But boy, I tell you, they have shown some real compassion for kids and coaches as far as making adaptations to help us get through this difficult time. It's easy to just stand on the rules and what we've always done, but these are not times like any other time. So Susan, Charles, everybody at the UIL, we thank you. All of us do. Thank you very much. And so you clearly are for kids and coaches. And if there was ever any doubt in some of those disgruntled people's minds, it should be very clear right now. So we appreciate you. I just wanted to say, as we get started, this political season, we all, you know, everybody's stressing voting and all that. I was listening to a sermon by Tony Evans the other day, and he reminded us that God is not a donkey or an elephant. And so there's no one party that's got all the right answers. And, you know, if we worship with a political party, then we're putting our faith in something that's only going to let us down. And so Psalm 146 says, we do not trust in princes, but trust in the Lord your God. And I think that's, we've got to put our priorities straight, just saying. So let's open with a word of prayer. Father, we do come to you today, and we know that there is no peace in this world, Lord. We seek that, and we want to be agents of peace within our school districts and for our coaches and kids and for our community. But you, Lord, are the Prince of Peace. So we can only get that through you. So we pray that you would strengthen us, fill us with your spirit. Lord, help us to do your work in a way that would be most pleasing to you, and help us to get our people through these most challenging times, and to give you all the glory and honor and praise. In Christ's name, amen.
Marty, thank you very much. And
thanks for asking me, Lynn. I really appreciate it.
Well, we send our love to you and your wife and wish her speedy recovery.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We have our special guest today. Dr. Elsa is on the line, and I believe Dr. Braddock might join us. Is that correct? And Brian will possibly give us a little bit of an update from UIL. Dr. Elsa, if you'd like to take it over from here, we'd love to hear what you have to say. And I want to echo all the great words that Marty said. Thank y'all for everything that you do. Because of the plan you have put in place, our kids have smiles on their face. And we really do appreciate that. Thank you for everything that y'all have been doing.
Well, thank you on behalf of UIL. Thank you so much. I was hoping Dr. Braddock could hop on, and I'm not giving up hope, but he did have state executive committee meeting this morning that he needed to be in attendance at, and he was going to see if he could step away. So, you know, I want to say thank you to Marty and Lynn and for all of y'all for the kind words. But, you know, it's kind of a reciprocating thank you, because, I mean, honestly, you guys are the ones in the trenches. And, you know, just based on the volume of calls that we're fielding every day, our entire athletic staff, it's challenging out there. And it's challenging for us because, you know, we do provide a lot of autonomy to schools. And you see that, and I've talked to even some of y'all just in the last couple of days that are on this call, that, you know, we can't be rigid. You know, I've always been pretty rigid throughout my career. I like rules. I like, you know, edges, you know, boundaries, if you will. And y'all see that we have changed a lot of our rules. And as y'all make your DEC rules and things like that, and again, I've talked to a lot of y'all in just the past few days. Don't worry about altering something if something you wrote back in August wasn't correct. And I think the number one word right now, I change my word every week, it feels like, but is flexibility. And don't beat yourself up for maybe not writing a perfect set of rules, because look at us. I mean, look at how many things we've modified. And let's talk about that. You know, there's a lot of decisions that are made within UIL between music and academics and athletics, and our staff works hard. The athletic staff, I know y'all talked to Joseph, Brandy, Polk, AJ, they're there to serve you, and we've been doing the best we can. But each of our departments, we collectively make recommendations on change. But the people that have the largest mountain to climb are the ones that are having to render the final decisions based on our recommendations, and that's Dr. Broddup and Dr. Harrison. And I can't say enough good things about them. They've been very supportive of, you know, some of the ideas that we've put out there, and they've given great feedback and pushed us, you know, to make sure that we're accommodating all of y'all. We're not going to hit our mark every single day because it changes so much, and you guys aren't going to hit your mark every single day. But as long as at the heart of every decision that we make is the kids, I think we're doing great things. It's tough, it's challenging, it changes rapidly, and just when you think you're not going to be affected by COVID, your entire football team gets knocked out, or your entire volleyball team gets knocked out. So thank you. Again, I wish Dr. Broddup was on here to give the lead-off speech, but I hope I, you know, touch the edges of what he would have liked to have shared. I'm going to hit some things real quick, just probably the hot topics. I wanted to remind y'all about Legislative Council this weekend on the 18th and on Monday on the 19th. Just a quick schedule. You know, at 8:30 we will do our general public hearing, and that's where, you know, some of our associations, the ADs Association being one of them, they'll hop on and make proposals or just make comments. That starts at 8:30. For those of y'all wanting to go to academics and the music, attend those committee meetings, those start at 10:30. They will be at the same time. And there'll be links on our website for the public to have, you know, to be able to view. And the athletics meeting will be at 1 o'clock, the athletics committee meeting, and then at 3:30, the policy committee meeting. On Monday, when the council meets and you know, takes action on any of the items, that will be at 9 a.m. on Monday morning, the 19th. Okay, that's all on our webpage. Any information that y'all need, that gives you an overview. I'm going to talk about a couple things. I don't want to steal Sam's thunder. I know that they've got a proposal coming forward, but I do want to talk about one thing. For the first time ever, academics and music's agendas are way longer than athletics, and I'm celebrating that because we usually have the longest one. You know, it goes without saying that, you know, without the ADs Association and these, you know, the ability for us to get on here and update y'all through your regional meetings, without the support of TGCA, THSCA, you know, the basketball coaches, the soccer coaches, all of them, a lot of these plans wouldn't be pushed forward. I think Sam does a great job of promoting, you know, to coaches the positive attitude and, you know, quit complaining, move forward, you know, you plan. And I just, you know, for all of our associations, we're so grateful for that. 2 proposals, there's 3 proposals, one that will be voted on by full council for sure. The last mileage ring in our fee schedule, we have our sports officials committee made the recommendation to drop that mileage ring. Anybody of you guys that are in a population dense area, which everybody I'm looking at, I can't see all the participants, this won't affect you in a negative way. But in our far reaching areas, south, west, east, where schools are a little bit more remote, it was costing them more money based on where the center point is, and it was going to be more cost effective for them to pay portal to portal after 91 miles, excuse me. Some of that may be foreign language to y'all. It's a good proposal. It shouldn't have a negative impact fiscally, or obviously we wouldn't be pushing it forward at this state of time. Baseball has a proposal coming forward. I don't know, just trying to read the tea leaves. I think that this will be something that we'll study. And I think y'all are going to understand why I'm saying this in just a minute. I've had conversations with a lot of the associations about this. Baseball is proposing, the Texas High School Baseball Coaches Association is proposing to give 2 additional weeks to pitchers and catchers prior to their season. And I'm kind of looking, just kind of what everybody's reaction to is, but I think y'all know from a global standpoint, I don't know that that's a bad idea. I don't necessarily personally have opinion on it as much as I know that if baseball and softball does it, then softball's going to want it. Right, Janice? Janice used to kick my ass in softball, by the way. I hated that. Dang it. I tried. And then in like volleyball, anything that's overhand, they may want those people to come in. They may want their setters in early. Football, going to want their quarterbacks and their center in early, maybe. I don't know. They're receivers. Y'all know how it is. You do one thing, it rolls to another. I'm going to let Sam talk about his, but I do want to talk about the edges of his. And based on his membership and just some of the information, and I'm sure some of y'all have gotten this, he has a proposal that maybe to give some flexibility in that strength and conditioning time outside the school day, and maybe swap it with skills. So if you wanted to do strength and conditioning during your athletic period, then you could take your skills outside the school day. The one thing is, if that, I don't know how quickly we'll take action on that. I would think that we would study it, but sometimes I can't read the tea leaves of our committee and the desires of Dr. Braddock. But the one thing that if that was interchangeable, that would eliminate some of the requests. Would not eliminate. It would maybe resolve what the baseball coaches are looking for. Globally, what I've told everybody, we've given a lot. Think about it. Friday night broadcast, the half credit, the 2.5 credits coming in, two weeks of grace. If you needed it in the grading policies, there'll be more to come, right? We've given 60 minutes outside the day to do strength and conditioning, et cetera, et cetera. I don't think, I think all of those things are good. I think where we are as UIL, and as we, listen to the people from our associations, and we listen to our committee, our council, what are we going to keep and what are we going to remove after COVID-19 goes away? I don't know how y'all feel right now. It doesn't feel like it's ever going to go away. So it's not something we have to worry about right now, but some of these will maintain themselves. The rules will stay, and some of them will change. And I think that that's what you've got the ADs Association for, is to offer those suggestions to them so they can take it forward and take it to our council who makes, ultimately makes our decisions. Other than that, I think one of the #1 questions that we're getting is, where are we on soccer and tournaments? Where are we on baseball and softball and tournaments, and wrestling, track, and tennis? I'm going to give you a quick deal. Our Soccer Coaches Association asked us to wait till the last minute possible to make decisions about soccer. And our goal is to have that out in early November, which is just a couple weeks away if y'all really think about it. I feel good about our outdoor sports having some opportunity to maybe have tournaments. If y'all look at team tennis right now, that they have the ability to have tournaments. They have limitations on how many teams can gather. So that's probably what you're going to see with soccer. Our Baseball Coaches Association and I don't even know if I talked to you about this one, Sam. They had asked that we wait until December to make any decisions about the baseball softball tournaments, because it gives them time still to revive them or to reduce them if they had like 32 teams. I do not envision us having that many teams in a tournament, but they will have some flexibility at how many teams they can have on site. So hang with us. That's a process that we make recommendations to Dr. Braddock and Dr. Harrison. And based on what we're gathering from people like Sam and from Rex Sanders, and then from the Soccer Coaches Association, and then we also land on the safety components at it with the health climate. Wrestling. So wrestling is going to be our toughest one. Some other states are going to start kicking theirs up in December and January. It will help us. But right now, as we have it, weight certification would be in January, and they would start wrestling in February. It would be roughly a 10-week season. Now, we haven't highly publicized that because we just aren't sure how much it'll change, and we don't want, we've got to kind of get a better understanding of how other states are going to run it before we go there. We have ideas of how we think we should, based on some recommendations from USA Wrestling and NFHS, but it may be things like, we may have to limit the number of teams. We may have to reduce the number of qualifiers just because of the number of people in an indoor facility. Some of the things that they're recommending on that is, when you wrestle one person, you have to go change your singlet. You can't wrestle another person in the same singlet. That's just one example of how, wrestling has a lot of contact with it. So we'll find our way through it. Not quite ready to even discuss track yet, and any of the components that we maybe need to reduce in terms of track meets. And in my mind, tennis, I talked to Joseph yesterday about tennis, and we've really already got their structure out there. If we need to change anything, we will. If we can add anything and reduce some of the restrictions, then we'll do that as well. So that's kind of an overview of what's coming. Other than that, I just, don't forget, here we go. So most of y'all that I'm looking at right now, and it doesn't mean everybody on this call, is 5A and 6A. So these dates don't affect you. But team tennis finishes up next week. Now that is 4A through 6A. They finish on the 24th of October. And then we start the postseason. Volleyball for 1 through 4A finishes the 27th. And cross country, the district meets have to be ran by the 31st. And the 9th and 10th is regionals. You're going to start seeing some information come out from UIL, from our staff that, respectively, that lead those sports. And we're working on those right now and getting those out. As y'all know, that y'all are dealing with this right now. And I talked about this earlier. Don't be afraid to change your rules. I've talked to a ton of 5A and 6A folks that had made some mistakes in their original, I say mistakes. They didn't see what was coming with COVID. And they were forcing forfeits when you had a whole nother round of district to play. Don't forget that volleyball has a lot more flexibility because they can play 2 matches in one night and it only counts as 1 contest. They legitimately can play 6. If you left dates at the end, I struggle to understand why you're forfeiting, but I do not struggle to understand the gamesmanship that can go on with people not having their studs, and they know they're going to probably lose without them. You guys, that is a tough hill to climb, and I know you're trying to control that and put it, your DEC minutes to where you have some flexibility. Football has been the same way. There's been, anybody that's kept up with what's going on in DFW, it was a little wild there with Denton Ryan. They probably had some things in the DEC that they were in that couldn't be supported, that they really didn't have the ability to make those type of decisions. But I'm going to tell you what, the DEC chair of that district, David Kirkendall, has been a hero. He's trudged through it. He understands that it's just part of this process and it's okay to change. I recommend y'all do the same and lean on us. We want to help. I think we can give you good advice. I think we can give you just an understanding of what can be supported in case someone tries to appeal to the SEC, any of the DEC rules that are made or any of the forfeits that are handed down. I do want to remind you, we have highly recommended all along, do not, for teams that can't play, don't force them to forfeit. If you want to call it a no contest and have a system at the end with your district representatives that maybe they end up having to have a win or loss, that's fine. But if you are if you've got forfeit written in there, just understand if somebody appeals that, it may not be upheld within the SEC. So we're trying to help you navigate through that. Y'all are going through it in a different wave than our 1 through 4As. You got to lean on us because that's what we're here. That's what we're here to do is help you get through it. Number one question, of mad people in this world, mad school people, is why did y'all leave it to us to decide this? Why didn't you put down a set standard of how this works, if somebody gets COVID? And I have told everybody this: if you've got that solution that fits 1,500 schools in this state, send it to us right now. We'll use it. Our egos aren't that big. I think y'all are better off making those decisions within your own district, just like we always have. I think what everybody has to understand is there is no perfect formula. And then the final thing I'll say is we're about to get into that business too. I want y'all to think about that. Postseason volleyball, it starts in 2 weeks for 1 through 4A, and for team tennis as well. What are we going to do when one of the teams can't show up and they only have 3 available dates to play? I mean, what are we going to do? We're going to be in that same scenario as y'all because we don't have any runway at the end. And tough decisions will be made, and we're going to have to navigate that just like y'all are. So we're all in it together. Y'all are about to hand the baton, not this 5A, 6A folks, but the 1 through 4A are like, here, you deal with that, you know, and we're going to. And it ain't going to be fun, but at the end of the day, we wanted to put together what kind of season, best kind of season we could for these kids. And look at it, guys. We're in week 9 of football for 1 through 4A, and we're almost finished with volleyball and team tennis and cross country. So I'm pretty pumped about it. I hate all the negativity, but when you look at those kids compete every weekend and week out, it just makes you feel right. So that's really all I have. Hopefully I didn't take too long. I don't see Dr. Braddock has hopped on here, dadgummit. And but I appreciate y'all, and we'll take any questions if there's any that I can answer while still on here.
Susan, real quick, I understand that Dr. Bryup is on, but he can't see us, so I'm not sure what the issue is. He's using the same invite that the rest of the panelists use. He may not have enabled his video, but I don't know if you have a chance to give him a quick call after you get done, help him
Okay.
pop on or what.
Yeah. I will. I've texted him and I hadn't got a response back. Oh, hang on. Let me. I think he thought this was another day. Let me see.
We're all together at this point.
Yeah. Well, and he could come on after I get off. I mean,
Sure, yeah.
I'm going to tell him that too, if y'all don't mind. I mean, y'all are going to be on here for another, maybe hour. So
Yeah.
if he pops in, I know y'all always want to hear from him. Probably even more.
We'll go with TGCA and let them visit for a little bit, and then if he wants to come on after him, that'd be great.
Did anybody have any questions, Lynn? I didn't look in the chat box.
Do we have any questions? Is there any? Bob, are you able to see the chat to see if there's anything in there?
I've been looking and I haven't seen any questions so far, but if anybody has anything.
I think you answered most of the questions, Dr. Elza, on as far as when we were going to hear for soccer and softball and baseball. I think those are the biggest questions right now that have been coming up. So
Okay.
Appreciate those.
Okay. Well, good. I'm glad. I like it when we're comprehensive. I think what I'm going to do, Bob, when I get off here is I'm going to share the link you sent me and see if that works any better for Dr. Braddock, and maybe he can hop on.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Dr. Elza. Thank you for all y'all do. We really appreciate it.
Good seeing y'all. Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Our other special guest that we have today is Sam Tipton from TGCA, Executive Director, and his Assistant Director is Lee Grisham. And gentlemen, if y'all would like to take the floor, it's yours, and we'd like to hear from you at this time. Thank you.
All right, Lynn, thank you very much. On behalf of TGCA, I just want to say thanks for inviting us. I have very little for you guys today. I just want to remind everyone that we have a membership deadline on November 1st, and this will enable our member coaches to nominate athletes for awards. Also, we have nomination deadlines for each sport, and the 4 sports that are coming up that we're really pushing is team tennis November 9th, cross country November 16th, volleyball 1 through 4A is November 16th, and volleyball 5 and 6A December, and I don't have that date off on top of my head. But other than that, Susan covered what we were thinking about proposing, so I don't know if there's any questions, but we do appreciate everything y'all do, and thanks for the relationship that you guys have with TGCA. Thank you.
Lee, thank you. Sam, would you like to say a few things? Sam went away.
Dr. Bryup did join us though, Lynn.
Okay, there's Dr. Broddick. Hello, Dr. Broddick. Welcome. We'd like to go ahead and have you say a few words to us if you would. Then we'll get back to Sam.
Yeah, well, we had some issues here this morning. I'm not sure can you hear me?
We can hear you and we can see
Okay.
you. You're looking good.
Well, thanks for having me. I heard most of what Susan said. I missed maybe the first couple of minutes of her presentation, so I'll try not to repeat anything. We were having a state executive committee hearing, and I wanted to be on for that first case, but thanks for having me on here. I just want to say a few words of thanks to all of you for the work you're doing. I know Susan's already expressed that, and I won't belabor it, but thank you for all you're doing. It's tremulous times because we feel very comfortable where we are with what we're doing, but it can fall down just like it did in the spring at any time. You understand that, and I understand that. We don't like it, but it's where we are, and we're dealing with it. And I can't think of anyone that's any better with being flexible and dealing with conflict than our athletic directors in the state. So I'll just leave it at that because I know you're going to get it done right. I want to share with you some of my thoughts as we reschedule for the spring. I have said all along that I believe that those that lost their full seasons last spring ought to have the opportunity to have a full slate of activities, including a full state tournament. We may or may not be able to do that, but that's my intent. Those that were able to finish their season but had some issues at the end during the playoffs, like soccer, we have to look at that a little bit. Basketball had a full basketball season. However, they didn't have a boys basketball tournament. So if I have a full boys basketball tournament, I also have to do the same thing to the girls, even though they played a full tournament. So you see the dilemma that we have. We're trying to do this fairly, but also we have to understand that we may not be allowed to have full tournaments at some of those spring activities. The longer we wait, the better opportunity I believe that we might have. So be patient with us. It's not that we don't want to give you a schedule, but we learned some lessons back during the early summer. We were writing and rewriting plans for return, and it seemed like on the hour something changed. Mm-hmm. And so when we got down to the fall schedule with football and volleyball, we were having to jump through some major hoops to get approval, not from our council, not from our school people, and not from our coaches, of course, and our coaches association and our ADs, but from elected officials. Started with the governor's office, it went to the lieutenant governor's office, it went to the Speaker of the House, it went to the chair of the Public Ed Committee in the Senate, chair of the Public Ed Committee in the House, and the Commissioner of Education. They all had to sign off on our plan. Now, good luck to us getting that done in normal times. But we were able to navigate that and get it done. And we were able to start in that way. We could not, I'm just telling you guys right now, any thought of us being able to start with all of our schools on August 3rd was impossible. And so we made the decision to split out the 6A, 5A. That took care of most of the schools who were shut down by their county for both school and activities. So I applaud us for making that decision. I thought that we would have some problems with that. And we did have a few who were unhappy about not getting to start on August 3rd. But believe me, we would not be doing anything at any level had we tried to push that through like nothing was wrong, that there was no pandemic for us to worry about. We're going forward. In fact, I had one of those 6 that I just told you about who said to me, typical UIL, you're just going to push on and go through this and blame the governor. Well, that wasn't our intent at all. But, you know, you get those kind of comments and it makes you stop and think, we better be smart about this or we won't be doing anything. That's why I'm so proud right now that we've gotten to the point where we are with 1A through 4A, and we're moving forward progressively with 5A, 6A. The beautiful thing about all that is that our schools are following the protocols and they're doing the right thing. That's why they've had to cancel. That's why some of them have forfeited games on their own. And so I'm pleased to hear that our athletic directors are saying, we get it. We don't like all these protocols. We don't like reduced attendance. We don't like telling people to wear a mask. We don't like spacing out, but you're doing it. And I don't want anybody here to fall on their sword. Please don't get into it with your fans about wearing masks. Just tell them, hey, this is what the rule is. You can't enforce that. I mean, you can express to them that if we don't do this and someone sees that we're not enforcing it, then there are going to be other people who call on these schools to shut them down. So I know you have a lot to do. You don't need to be the mask police. You don't need to be the space police. You put up the notices, you let them know what the deal is, and then you leave it to others that made these rules. We didn't make these rules, did we? I didn't make a mask rule, did you? I didn't make a social distancing rule, but people in your county did, and people in your school district that probably approved of those and said, we're going to follow those. So again, you've got plenty to deal with already. Just take care of our kids, take care of our coaches. That's your job. Your job is not all the rest. When they get to the game and you've notified them what they need to do, then that's done. So let's talk a little bit about football and district executive committees. I know that Susan had some comments about that. We trust our district executive committees. I trust them to do their work, but the facts matter. And if you have to shut down because of COVID, I don't believe you should have to forfeit. But if the district chooses to do that, they have their reasons. Everything is appealable, right? If the district committee approves a policy or does something, that can be appealed. And I don't want anybody to get their feelings hurt on anything. I don't get a vote on those SEC calls. I don't get a vote, but everyone has a chance to appeal. Nobody likes forfeits. I'll be the first one to say, I have said all along, try to work it out without forfeiting. Use the 5-day rule. Try to get the games in. Let's get the games played if we can. And it's a mess to your schedule to do that. I get it. Susan's right. There's gamesmanship that will be played by people to beat the 6 weeks or the 9-week reporting period grades. I understand that. We've had that forever. But here's my deal. When we get into the playoffs, forfeit's going to be a piece of the pie. I'm sorry. How are we going to fix that? If the 4 schools, not just 2 schools, 4 schools, the next round has to agree too that they want to back their games up and we'll get them in a 5-day rule, that's great. We'll work with those schools and try to convince them to do that. But if they don't, and we have teams that can't play because they don't have enough kids or they're going to be a problem, I'm sorry, we're probably going to have to live with that. And it's a terrible thing to say. I don't want to do that. I would hope that we can do this without all that. But I'm always interested to see what happens from the NCAA and college football. But unfortunately for us, we don't have that luxury because we're going to beat them to the punch. You know what? I think they were watching us. When we set aside the date for 5A, 6A football to start the first game on September 24th, guess what date the SEC set theirs for? Oh, they weren't copying us, but it was the best case scenario, right? So it felt good to have that. So we've got an NBA schedule under our belt. Major League Baseball is working, into to a World Series here in a couple of weeks. I think we can go forward in good faith. I'm hopeful that the governor's office will allow for 75% at some point. I don't think we're going to ask for it right now. There may be a point in time in the next couple of weeks that we might do that. But I'm afraid if we ask for it too quickly and then there's an uptick of virus, especially in Travis County, because that's where people are mostly sensitive, right? That's where the seat of government is, and that's where we get all the pushbacks. So I'm anxious to see what he does with that. I mean, for me, I'm selfish. I want to see bigger gates in the playoffs because that's where we get our revenue from. And I'm just telling you now, we lost $1.4 million last year. We have a good reserve fund, but we can't continue this. And this is going to be a bad year for us financially again. So how far can we go? We're still not back in our office, folks. We're not allowed to get back on campus because the university says we're non-essential. How do you like to be labeled non-essential? I don't think we're non-essential, but we are to the university. We don't deal with students, so they consider us that. So we're not back in our office. We have a skeleton crew that is allowed to go in. I try to go in once a week and pick up mail and check with our people. But we've done every bit of this through Zoom. So we're saving some money with our Zoom meetings. You think about all the waiver meetings we have, all the SEC hearings now, our council meeting coming up this weekend. I don't like those to be Zoom, but it was necessary. And I know you're doing some Zoom things, not only on this call, but on your state meetings. It's just the world we live in today. I don't want this to be the new normal. I'm not going to accept that as the new normal. We need to get together again. We need to see each other face to face. We need to hug each other and shake hands, fist bump, whatever we need to do. I need to see your smiling faces, and I need to see you face to face so that we can talk and deal with the work that we deal is hard enough. When you're having to do it in a silo by yourself, it's not much fun. And I have people who are telling me that this virus is going to continue through 2023. I can't take that, and I don't accept that. And I'm believing what I see in front of me. Our people are battling, and you're battling, and I think we can have contests. We've learned a couple of things, haven't we? How important this is to kids and how important it is to parents. And guess what? Let me just tell you something. What great plus this is for our schools, for us to defend public education as we know it. The kids want to be back in school. You know why they want to be back in school? So they can participate in our activities. And guess what? Guess the people who are taking care of them are our coaches and you, the athletic directors. They're the ones that take care of them. They make sure they get those 2 meals a day. They make sure that they're taken care of, and a trainer's checking with them, and they're checking for temperatures, and our trainers are doing a fantastic job. Our kids are safer. I'll say this, and I know it's being recorded. I'll say, I think our kids are safer at school and with our athletic programs after school than they are at home. You know why? If you can convince me that all these kids, if we didn't play, would be locked up in their house, I'd say, okay, keep them at home. But they're not. They're out playing. That was the whole deal. That was one of the things we were able to get across to our elected officials. They're not staying at home. They're out playing in a park or 7-on-7s games all over the state. They weren't sanctioned by anyone. They were organized by the kids. They're going to find a way to get together with their friends. Trust me on that. So what we're doing is fantastic. And I believe that we'll be able to continue. Is there going to be an increase in the positive cases of COVID over the next couple of weeks because of colder weather? Well, maybe so. But they told us when it got warmer weather, it'd go away. It got worse, didn't it? I don't think anybody knows. So who can you trust? We can trust each other. And we'll hold each other's hands through this virtually until we get back together again. So just keep working hard like you're doing. We're going to get your schedules out as quickly as we can. Susan told you that. We don't want to rush it. We might be able to do more. I am worried about wrestling, but remember, they had a full season last year, so they may get a modified season. Baseball, softball didn't get a full season. Track and field didn't get a full season. We had a full season of cross country. We modified it. We had a full season of volleyball last year. We modified it. Somebody said, well, you didn't modify football. Well, geez, they don't give it 10 games. Come on. We got to be smart about it. And as an old basketball coach, I'd say, well, you reduce the number of games in basketball and didn't let them have tournaments. I have not heard from one basketball coach that's complained about that. And you know what? I'm going to tell you this. Now take this off the recording. I'm going to tell you this. There will be some of you ADs that say, you know what? This limited schedule is good for us, especially the no tournaments. Can you imagine the money we're going to save on buses in December? Think about basketball tournaments. If I'm the maintenance director, they should love UIL today because I don't have to worry about that junior high, 7th grade boys and girls team going to a tournament, 8th grade boys and girls team going to another tournament, 9th grade boys and girls going to a different tournament, JV boys and girls going to a different tournament, varsity boys going to different tournaments. Think about that. How many buses is that? 8, 10? I'm telling you, that's a lot of money that's coming out of your budgets. So there will be, trust me on this, by June, it's not going to come up for a conversation. By June, there will be some superintendents that say, can we keep this modified schedule for next school year? So I'm just throwing it out there to you. It's not a proposal. No one said that out loud yet, but they're thinking it because they're counting their dollars. Now, let me ask you this question. You think that the legislature, when they come back in January, is going to give the public schools more money? Where are they going to get it? They gave many billions of dollars last session. Remember all those raises you got 2 years ago, or we were supposed to get, and all the teachers got a $10,000 raise? That's not going to be there. And so superintendents are smart people, and they're thinking, just like I'm telling you, just be prepared for that. Reduced schedules may be the wave of the future. I'm not advocating for that at all. So tell all my old buddies at TABC, I didn't say that. But it might be, and it might be for everything. And now I would never want us to go to what we're doing to junior high. Let me tell you, y'all know I've been a passionate advocate for middle schools and junior highs. I think they get the wrong end of the stick all the way along. One game a week and only get 10 or 12 games and 2 tournaments. This year they don't even get a tournament. And I'm really an advocate now because I'm a grandfather of a 7th grade volleyball, cross country, basketball, track kid. She does everything. And, you know, parents care about that stuff. And here's what happens to us. And I'll tell you that only for a reason. We've got to be careful because now we've made non-school more attractive to parents. My granddaughter played 42 non-school games during COVID in the summer. She's still playing too. She goes to volleyball practice at 6:30 in the morning, cross-country practice. After school, she goes 2 nights a week to basketball practice, and she plays a tournament on Sunday afternoon. So basketball, volleyball are set up to be more attractive to parents of junior high kids. They can do both, but we're going to have to make some decisions. And I'm probably going to ask to have a junior high middle school committee made up of some of you ADs to help us address this problem. Because if we don't train our kids up and give them an opportunity to be incorporated into school activities, some would say, why even bother? There are a lot of states that don't have middle school athletics as part of their state association. There are others. I'm going to tell you the other side of the story. Did you know that there's at least one state that holds state championships for elementary and junior high activities? Now, I would never want to do that, but it just shows you there's 2 sides to the spectrum. So I'll stop. If you've got some questions, I'm happy to take those, unless they're hard. And if they're hard, I'll call Susan back.
Dr. Broderick, thank you there. Do we have some questions, anyone? It's not often that we get the head man here, so we appreciate you taking that time with us.
Always happy to join you. Thank you for your work. Again, y'all know how to reach me. Don't hesitate to contact me by phone or email or text, whatever you need, okay? And appreciate you very much. I'll see you later, okay?
Yeah, and thank you, Dr. Broderick. We always love the inspirational message that you give us and the value you place on us. So thank you for everything you do for us as well.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
We were talking with Lee, and then I was going to give Sam an opportunity to say a few words if he would like to.
Okay, Lynn, I appreciate the opportunity. Lee said basically what needed to be said, and everyone sitting in this forum, you know exactly how I feel about the athletic directors of the state of Texas. You are the golden rod that holds us all together, and we really respect for what you do, how you do it, and just keep doing it. They did bring up the motion or the proposal that we're taking before the Legislative Council on Sunday. This proposal was given to us by one of our members, and this proposal was put together basically for one reason and one reason only, and that was the fact that all UADs, all the schools in our great state have limited weight facilities to get everybody in a weight room. And we are proposing this basically because the majority of UIL schools do not have adequate weightlifting facilities to accommodate all UIL sports. And all we're saying is we're getting an hour a day for strength and conditioning. We're getting an hour a day for skill training. Let the local school district decide whether they do the weight and training during the school day or after the school day, whether they do the skill training during the school day or after the school day. And any local that does not want to have anything to do with that, they're not forced to do it. They're just given that opportunity to use their facilities the best way they see fit. Thank you all so much for everything. And all I say is 2021, get here as fast as you can. We need you.
For sure.
Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you, Sam, and thank you, Lee. And what a great proposal, because we all know many of us do have that problem that you mentioned with shortage of facilities. So we appreciate you taking that and moving forward with it for the benefit of all of us. Thank you. Now we're going to go to our state sponsors, and Paragon Shaw is up, I think, with Casey Kleiss. Casey, are you on? There you are. I see you. Okay. I see you, Casey.
Hey, I just want to, well, I won't take much of you guys' time. I thank you guys so much, and I really appreciate what you guys are going through right now. Don't appreciate it, but I mean, I can't imagine it. I feel for you guys, but I know you're doing the best you can and trying to keep these kids out on those fields and with all the crazy rules in place. But Lee Penland is y'all's rep down there. I'm sure most of y'all know Lee, and I see some familiar faces I've met over the years. But you know, I'm with Paragon Sports Constructors. We build sports fields and running tracks and tennis courts, and even do natural grass work. So keep us in mind when you guys have any needs down there. We'd love to help you in any way we can. If you need to go look at some fields, we've been in Round Rock. We've got Comal, Hayes, Salado, Pflugerville. And we're wrapping up right now at Travis County, Northeast Metro Park for the Parks and Rec down there. One pretty cool new thing that Shaw Sports Turf is our turf partner, and they've just rolled out another a really exciting product, which is another pad, which is all you guys want to hear about. I'm sure throw another pad into the turf world, right? But the cool thing about this pad is it's a recycled field. So we're moving fields from the landfill, and they've figured out a way to turn it into a pad. So every pad you get is saving a field from the landfill and protecting the environment. Lastly, you guys are going to be watching the NLCS and the World Series. You can see the Shaw product. We did the field at Globe Life Field. So when you guys turn that on, all the green stuff you're seeing is actually fake. So it's pretty cool because it doesn't look fake. But we appreciate you guys. We'd love to help you any way we can. We're here for you. Reach out to Lee, reach out to any of us, and you guys keep rocking it because you're doing a great job. Thank y'all.
Casey, thank you so much. Tell Lee hello for us, and I'm sure you probably got a ticket to go see one of those ball games. So enjoy it for all of us.
All right, thank you.
All right. We have Amy Champion was supposed to be with us from Brock, USA. Amy's located in Lake Charles, and she is also working with hurricane victims and their committee there. And unfortunately, she had to leave for an 11 o'clock meeting that she was part of. So we want to thank Amy and Brock USA for all they do for us. They are if I'm remembering correctly, they do a shock pad for the artificial turf. So hopefully we'll get to have Amy at another point. So Amy, and a great last name, Champion. She was meant to be in sports, right? So we want to thank Amy. John Cardinal, Athletic Supply, is up next. Hi, John. We're glad you're here.
Yeah, good. Yeah, good to see all you. Thank you again for your leadership, all of you, in getting our kids on the field this fall. We really appreciate all of your hard work and efforts. I know it's been a crazy year, so thank you for everything y'all have done to get our kids out there participating. We really appreciate it. I'm with Athletic Supply. We are a apparel vendor. We're also an equipment vendor. I mean, we do all three shoe brands, Nike, Adidas, Under Armour. We'd love to come out and work with you. We've worked with several of the districts on here. We recently had a little merger situation through Athletic Supply and Cardinals, but we've both been selling apparel and equipment since the 1940s. So we have a lot of experience. We'd love to work with your districts and come out and show you the different products and different opportunities we have for you guys. We do a few unique things. We own and operate our own helmet reconditioning plant here in Alto, Texas. So we're the only company that can actually recondition and fully NOC certified helmets in the state of Texas and keep your helmets in Texas. So please give us an opportunity to come out. We'd love to reach out to you and talk to you. We have 43 reps right now working the state of Texas. So we're all over the place, and we appreciate all of you that we've gotten to work with in the past. Thank you.
John, thank you. And thank you to all of our state vendors for being part of this and being a part of our state sponsors. We really appreciate that. We're able to put these Zoom meetings on and have our clinics and our conferences because of what y'all do for us. So thank you so much, John. Thank you again to Casey as well. And Amy, hang in there out in Lake Charles. I know you've had some rough times going on. Let's go to our committee reports. I'm going to turn to Connie Angel over at Dale Valley for our membership.
So just a few things about membership that Allie sent over yesterday, Allie Kinsey. Membership renewal invoices were sent out on August 31st to all the ADs. So you should have received that from Allie. If you did not, shoot her an email and she will send you those invoices. And then if there's somebody that was not a member of the organization last year, obviously they won't be on the invoice. So encourage them to get on the THSADA.com website and get them registered. We have pretty decent numbers in Region 6, but I think we could definitely increase those numbers. So as we get on these regional meetings and you see who's signed in and you don't see some names pop up, reach out to them and encourage them to join the organization.
Thank you, Tani. Thank you very much for that report. We're going to go to awards next, and Jody was unable to, all of Leander is unable to be with us today. They had some pressing meetings they all had to be in. And Bob, I think you were going to tell us a little bit about the awards and share that with us.
Why don't you go ahead and do the rest of the committees, Lynn?
Okay, then I'll come back to you. Okay. Brad Shelton, you want to talk to us a little bit from Waco Midway on the TAC report?
Sure. Not a lot to say with the state conferences, 7th through 10th of December, and there'll be an option for TAAC virtual classes for those that need to recertify or we're currently working on it. So be here in Waco State Convention. That's about it.
Great. Thank you so much, Brad. Publications, Dina from Pflugerville. I saw Dina.
I'm here.
Oh, there you are. Okay. I'm sorry. I got all these faces and I'm trying to find what they are. Dina from Publications?
Yes. So basically, they're going to be printing a hard copy, a December newsletter for those who have memberships. And it should be given out probably in the early January. They sent us numerous different topics that we can pick from. And the two that I'm going to explore that I would love to possibly get some of you to give me some different information about your district and what you're doing is athletic staff communication procedures during pandemic and athletic department technology. So I'll probably be reaching out to some of you just to kind of find out what you're doing in your district and how we can show what Central Texas is doing with those two topics. And then if you have someone that you feel like has a good article or something like that that they may want to add, let me know so that we can look at getting theirs published as well.
Thank you, Dina. And Dina did a great article on the Rock Gym there in Pflugerville. I enjoyed reading that, Dina. Thank you for everything that you're doing for us. And it's always special when you have somebody with great writing skills, and we appreciate you sharing that with us.
Thank you.
I'm going to go to Denise Van Landingham next. Denise is going to give us a report. She's from Austin ISD. She's going to give us a report on NIAAA. And then Denise, I also have asked her, she is kind of a liaison with the UIL Medical Advisory Committee. And we've had some questions on COVID reporting to TASO, who especially, she can, I guess, basically talk maybe about the state, but probably more so what we do in Austin as far as what we can say about COVID when we're having to report a case and what we cannot. Denise?
So first, I'll just mention that the NIAAA conference also went virtual this year. So it's going to be in December, the 7th through the 14th. And so a lot more people would be able to attend if you're interested, since it is going to be virtual and it's not going to be out of state. So they have all that information online as far as registering and attending their conference if you're interested. So those are the only NIAAA updates at this time. And we haven't opened up awards and scholarships and stuff like that. So that conference is also going to be virtual, like the AD conference. So you can go on and register for that if you're interested. So that's just the NIAAA update. As far as COVID goes, there is a lot of confidentiality associated with it, but the big thing I think that TASO is concerned about is you have to make sure if you do have a student that participated in a contest that does come up COVID positive within 2 days of that contest. I think a lot of schools are doing a really good job of notifying their opponents of that, but you do also have to notify the officials that officiated that contest. And so you have to make sure that you notify your opponent, but you also have to notify the officials that were in that contest as well. So make sure you're contacting the Officials Association and also letting those officials know that there was a student that participated in that contest if they come back COVID positive within 2 days of that contest. If it's outside of 2 days, if they were not experiencing any symptoms within those 2 days, then it is not required that you notify the officials, and it's also not required that you notify the opponents either. But it's within that 2-day period, if they were experiencing symptoms and came back COVID positive, that you have to notify the opponents and the officials associations. It's not necessary, and it's not important to make sure you don't notify of who that student was. You just have to notify that it was someone on your team that came back and tested positive. You have to make sure that you maintain confidentiality in it. But you have to make sure that you notify opponents and the officials that were associated in that contest. And then it's up to that district to decide what their quarantine procedures. They have to notify their specific health representative in their district to decide what their quarantine procedures are going to be. And then your district would decide what your quarantine procedures were going to be. But that's what the Officials Association is concerned about, is because a lot of times they're not getting notified. And so they were very concerned about that as well. They're kind of hearing from the news that this whole team was quarantined, but they weren't notified. And so their concern was that it came from a contest and they didn't know about it.
Bob, does that answer the question that you had about the COVID that was coming out from many of our ADs?
Yes, ma'am. That was a great response, and thank you, Denise, for sharing all that. If anybody on the panel has a different view of what Denise said, please share. But I think what she told us is exactly what our responsibilities are. So I think I know I'm on the right page. Make sure that the rest of us are too.
Excellent, Denise. Thank you for that excellent explanation. Does anyone else have some other things to add to the reporting of COVID and teams quarantining at this time that you'd like to visit on? I know pretty much we've all experienced some way or the other something going on. All right, Denise, thank you again. Thank you very much for that. Want to go with Dwayne Wyrick from Round Rock ISD on policy. Dwayne?
Yes, Lynn, thanks. So most of what I wanted to say has already been shared regarding the Legislative Council. A couple of things that are going to be discussed that maybe were not mentioned. Esports is going to be part of the discussion. I know I got a call last week from someone and we talked about esports, and he sent me some information. So again, that's a topic that's going to be discussed. A raise for the officials, that $5 raise that was talked about a year ago, is still going to be a topic of discussion. And then lastly, water polo is still on the agenda. So in going through the agendas, I think those are 3 points that were not mentioned earlier that will also be a big part of what happens on Sunday and Monday.
Excellent. Thanks, Dwayne. Anybody have any questions for policy and Dwayne? Thank you, Dwayne. Athletic Committee is Lil Anderson from Austin ISD and Todd Raymond from Pflugerville ISD. Gentlemen, do y'all have any comments that you'd like to make at this time?
Yeah, I'll just jump in there, Lynn. Thank you for that. I know one of the questions that I think we're all working with and trying to grasp or grapple with is what do we do when you have COVID reschedules in your different sports? And it's a little easier, I think, with volleyball because you can play on the Saturday. But with football, it's more difficult to kind of find that out and figure out, you know, how you get that rescheduled. So kind of what we're doing in general, and really, if you guys have plans around this that you're willing to share, I think that'd be helpful. The first thing is that, you know, we're trying to go to the first open date that you could potentially play. I know some dates are in there for different schedules to be able to do that. Like Dr. Brodup said, Dr. Elza said, you know, try not to use forfeit until that's the last possible option. And then they also kind of recommended using the 5-day rule to kind of reschedule. So I think that's something that we may look at to get to, you know, being able to where we can reschedule some of those games using that kind of creatively. And then also, I know it's been at least brought up or discussed, if there's a way to potentially use a mini tournament at the end of the season to qualify 1 or 2 teams. You know, you may have a clear number 1 and clear number 2, but maybe the 3 and 4 are not so clear. And so can you reschedule at that point to figure out what that 3rd and 4th team may look like? Those are just ideas that I have, and, you know, around it. I think that there needs to be discussion, though, in terms of what that's going to look like. And then it also needs to be discussed with everybody in your DEC, you know, how that's going to work. I don't think anybody, I know we don't have a very clear, detailed plan written that's going to outline how all of that works. But, you know, any information that you all may have or that you're willing to share with others when you get to that point, or you figuring that out in your own DEC, how that's going to work, I think it'd be helpful to share that. And because we are going to be up against that, right, as we have reschedules and as we get to the end of the season for our different sports. Thank you.
Thanks, Lil. Todd?
Yeah, I mean, I know that we'll talk about a lot of that stuff that Leo was referencing in the panel part here in a second. But for us, you know, the big thing right now is just with the legislative council, see what comes out of there, you know what I mean? And see what kind of, what changes or anything like that need to happen. We'll just wait and see. Hopefully we'll get some guidance after the meeting this weekend.
Thank y'all. Thank you very much. Officials, Derek Rush from Bryan ISD, I believe is on. Derek, can you give us a little update on the officials committee?
Yes, we met last week, and Mike Brass wanted to share 2 points. As far as the standing committee is working on creating a schedule to increase officials' pay, be it every year, every 2 years, or every odd or even year, and they wanted to get each region's thoughts and ideas on that and share that back with them. And also, I think Denise had mentioned as far as the officials, the source of notifying officials about COVID cases. And so those were the 2 biggest things that we discussed. And the biggest thing was the schedule to increase officials' pay, whether to do that or not, and give each region give their ideals on that topic.
Excellent. Thank you, Derek. Any questions for Derek? Thank you for attending those meetings. I know Todd couldn't be with, not Todd, excuse me, Jonathan couldn't be with us today. He had another pressing meeting. I appreciate you taking the time. And I think Jay Zeller is also maybe on the SOC committee. I'm not for sure. And he is joining our region over in, I believe it's Waco Midway. So we may be asking him for some further help in those areas as well. Okay, thank y'all very much. So that's going to bring us down to Bob. We're going to let you talk about the the Texas High School Athletic Director Association state business. And if you'll also include the awards that Jody was going to do during that, we appreciate that. Thanks, Bob.
Very good. I'll be happy to, Lynn. Thank you. One more addition to what Derek was talking about. We all may recall that back last June and last October, there was a little momentum for an additional $5 increase for officials that would potentially begin next fall. That request has been rescinded by THSADA, and it should not even probably won't even come up at the meetings coming up next week. So that's good news for us, as I think all of your budgets are going to be significantly impacted the next probably 2 years because of COVID-19. So it's kind of sad we're having to reduce our budgets, but at least we won't have an officials increase to go along with that. State news now. We're all aware that we have moved to a virtual conference in December 10th, 7th through 10th. What led to that was the fact that the city of Waco and the Convention Bureau were putting such stringent guidelines on how many people could gather. It wouldn't have been a good idea for us to gather our exhibitors and our ADs together. And then after we surveyed you guys, about half of our membership, about half of our exhibitors said they would not be able to attend anyway because of local rules. So we're best served by offering this event virtually. And we're getting kind of used to a virtual event. That's all we've been doing for the last 6 or 7 months. Regarding hotel reservations, if you registered in the hotel block, then your reservation was immediately canceled through the association. So no need to worry about that if you went through the block. If you called the hotel yourself and made your own reservation, then you're obligated to call the hotel and cancel that reservation. So please make sure that you know which one of those you selected. Most of you did it through the block. If you want to attend the conference, the virtual conference, and have not yet signed up for it, there's still plenty of time. All you gotta do is pay your registration fee, and then you'll be all set to go. Anybody who registered for the conference already, you guys are set to go, and you'll receive instructions on how to access the conference when we get a little bit closer. And what will that conference look like? So every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, there will be a little bit of live programming that Rusty will get on, a brief message about what's going to happen that day. And then we'll have a special speaker, whether it's Dr. Brydup or Dr. Elza or our officers or a few others. And that live programming will be 8:45 to 10 o'clock every day. In addition to that, we are recording about 12 or 14 of our TAC classes and special presentations over the next few weeks. So what that will mean to you is if you paid your registration fee, you get the live content 8:45 to 10, and then all the other recordings will go into what we're calling the library. And you can access anything in that library at any time after the conference starts for a period of weeks after the conference ends. So all you have to do is pay your $100 to register, and you can get your TAC classes. You can watch them whatever time you want. You can do it at midnight, 2 o'clock in the morning, 8 in the morning, whatever you choose to. And that'll make it accessible for all of you. Because you're going to have a hard time sitting down from 8 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon to watch classes when you're actually at your office doing some work. All right, let's talk about the awards right now. We've been holding on to our awards on what was supposed to be our state conference from last March, and that moved to June, and then it moved to December, and now we're looking at what we're going to do with our Hall of Honor and the rest of our awards. So 2 events are going to occur. One is a new event called the Spring Sponsor Showcase, which will provide an opportunity for our sponsors to be in front of our membership and also invite our members to attend a live kind of a mini conference. That'll be around the 1st of March. At that conference, we'll have some TAC classes, some special presentations, some interaction with our sponsors, and also at the event there will be an awards reception that will occur on the first night. And we will, at that point, we will award all the awards that were our national awards, our Joe Bill Fox, and also the PBK Athletic Director of the Year. So those are the awards that will be given in March. We're going to take our 3 Hall of Honor inductees and roll them over to June for our state conference. So we won't have 6 Hall of Honor inductees. We'll just have the 3 holdovers, and then we'll have a new crop of regional ADs of the year and our national awards, and also our new Joe Bill Fox, and then the current AD of the year. So we'll get most of our awards done in March, and then we'll roll over our Hall of Honor inductees and the new awards to our June conference, live conference. That'll be, and y'all live down there at the Kalahari Resort, which is just now opening. What's neat about that resort is there's one roof. There's not 7 hotels we have to go to. So we're all going to be under one roof. It is a resort, so we're going to encourage folks, if they choose to bring their families. One of the larger resorts with family entertainment in the state. We think it'll be a really neat experience for our members, and also if you can bring up some families, your grandkids, and things like that. So it'll be a lot of fun. Like we already heard a few times today, Legislative Council is on the 18th and 19th. And the day after that, on the 20th, we will have our fall round table, which will be a summary of what occurred in council. We'll have Dr. Elza on board, and probably Brian, maybe Dr. Bryda, and then we'll have our 4 officers that are making comments on what happened in council, and also comments about surviving what we've gone through from last March through the current times. So I think that's about all I've got for us right now. 2 more things on Hall of Honor and golf. We will be doing refunds for the golf. That'll occur over the next couple of weeks. So if you're one of the 140 folks signed up for golf, then we will refund that. We're going to ask a favor of you for the Hall of Honor, $20 you may have paid to attend Hall of Honor. We're going to ask you let us keep that and apply it to the THSADA Scholarship Fund. If that doesn't meet your needs, then just ask for a refund and we'll be happy to do that. All right, that's all Bob has for us today. Anybody have any questions for Bob?
I have one question, Bob.
Yes, ma'am.
So with the virtual state conference, will we have an extended date to continue to view the library other than just the 3 dates for the conference?
Yes, I don't have that exact date in mind, but the idea is for at least the following several weeks that content will be up. And that way, if we're not able to view it when it goes up, we'll have a few weeks to a couple of months to get that done.
Excellent. I just know that that's probably going to be right when we're having some state playoff football games and COVID-related incidents that we're going to possibly be having to struggle with. So that would be good to know.
I think the same thing will happen with the national conference. A lot of you attend that, and that's going to be December 7th through 14th. So all their content will be virtual too, and it'll be right on top of ours. So I'm pretty sure you're going to be able to access that content as long as you pay your registration fee whenever you want to.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Bob? All right. I want to thank the panel today that's on the panel. We have today joining us Connie Angel from Del Valley, Brad Shelton from Waco Midway, Jason Dean from Georgetown, Janice Williamson from Bryan, Lil Anderson from Austin, Todd Raymond from Pflugerville, Dwayne Roderick from Round Rock, and Andy Sexton from Bastrop. And I appreciate y'all. I sent you out a few of these questions. I just thought that we might share with our region. I'm sure this is a lot of things that a lot of people are going through. My first question is, with volleyball and football in full swing, name one positive and one negative takeaway from the COVID experience. Andy, I'm going to put you on the spot first.
I think, without a doubt, us going ticketless has been the positive. It's been much easier for our workers, and I mean, it's been so much easier. The hardest part probably is for middle school locker room situation, having those guys having to practice after school. It makes their day super long, and it just makes it's hard on those middle school kids when you can't, or coaches, when you can't practice during the school day because you can't get 100 kids in the locker room. So that's probably the negative for us.
Thank you, Amy. Jason Dean over at Georgetown. One positive and one negative.
Sure. The positive, I'd have to agree with Coach Sexton. The ticketless has really been a pleasant surprise. That was a lot of work going into that and trying to figure that whole rat's nest out. But man, our parents and our fans have done a good job of adjusting to that, and really that hasn't been a huge issue, for us. I would say the negative is just the same thing that all of you guys are dealing with. Man, we want something written in stone, and we want to be able to go with it. We want to be able to point our finger back at some rules somewhere and say, this is how we're going to operate. And in this situation, just like Dr. Elza and Dr. Bryda mentioned, man, it takes a lot of flexibility, on our end, and a lot of flexibility tends to cause communication issues, because you just send out some communication and then you've got to resend it, with a different way that we're going to go at stuff. So, it's nothing different here in Georgetown than all of you guys are dealing with and doing a great job in your own districts.
Thanks, Jason. Janice from Bryan.
I think the positive is that we haven't been able to cure COVID, but we've learned to navigate it. And so if you do have a positive, then you've learned how to remove them and to put someone else in. The negative is also the results of COVID and having to call an opposing team and say, we can't play, you know, and canceling those games. I will say that the other positive is that there are other teams out there in the same boat. And so you've been able to connect with them and have that play date filled.
Thank you, Janice. Thank you very much for that. Let's go, Tani.
I would say I agree with everybody on the online ticketing, and it's also been nice to be able to live stream our games, because it was funny, we were live streaming a volleyball game, and we hadn't been doing that. Even though we could, we hadn't been doing it. And our coach, our head volleyball coach, his mom lives in Pennsylvania, and she texted him right before the match and said, Jeff, I don't like the shirt that you're wearing for tonight's match. So, but, you know, families are getting to see the games that never got to see the games before. And so that's been a positive for us. It kind of pushed us to take that on. The negative, probably the biggest negative in Travis County, has been not being able to allow visiting volleyball parents to come to the games. And I know that's tough, especially on senior kids. And I think hopefully that's things will loosen up a little bit, but have to tell fans and students they can't come to the game, that's been probably the toughest thing for us.
That is true. Brad, what's happening up in Waco?
About the same as everywhere else. I agree with everybody. The online ticketing's been nice. The streaming's been good. But just philosophically, the one thing that I think has been the most positive out of all of this is just people's opinion of school and athletics and parents. And there's been a lot of grace from parents. They're just happy that we're playing and providing opportunities. You know, talked about having senior night and all those things. It's just been a lot of fun to have a lot of parental support. I'm not getting into, you know, I get some complaints and there's problems as always, but the minor things don't seem to be as big to parents. There's just a lot of grace and real grateful that we're playing and kids are at school. The negative side, you know, it's, you know, the contact tracing is difficult. You know, that's not a lot of fun to do, and all the stuff, you know, that Brought Up talked about. We're saving money on tournament and all that, but I think it all went to masks and signs and all those things. I mean, that's not been fun at all. But
I agree with that for sure. Todd, can you tell us a few things in Pflugerville?
The positive, one thing that we've learned, that especially Dean and I have really learned, is that it's caused us, because communication is so fluid and it changes so much right now, it has really forced us and forced our coaches to start having more or just phone call, pick them up. Like when there's miscommunications, pick up the phone and have a conversation with that parent. It's forced us to have more one-on-one conversations, and it's helped to open up that line of communication, to be honest with you, because parents do have questions, they've got concerns. And we've learned that if you get caught trying to just email and respond through that way, you're not, you know, people are filling in the blanks. They're writing their own story. And so we've really pushed to our coaches, pick up the phone, call that mom that's got some concerns, tell them what we're doing, you know, all that kind of stuff. And so it's really, that part's really been good to us. The hardest part for us, and I'm in the same boat as y'all, Lynn and Tawny, is that, you know, I'm barely in Travis County, and being where the government is and everything, the hardest part has been coming to grips with whatever decision we make, we're really going to upset at least 25% of the people. Like, there's going to be a group of people that are just, they're not going to like the decision, no matter which way we make it. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, it's such a political landscape right now, and having to kind of come to grips with anything that we do, we're going to upset a good chunk of the people, is just been super frustrating to have to deal with.
That is so true. Lil, talk about Austin ISD.
Yeah, I would say ditto to pretty much a lot of the things that everyone has talked about here. I'll tell you, it's just been nice to get out to the stadium finally and see some games, you know, to kind of visit with the coaches before the games and to see the kids come out there on the field and go play. I mean, that's just been, you know, it's been so hard because, as you guys know, as Todd was talking about in Travis County, we've had, you know, a few more restrictions restrictions, and maybe a lot of you have kind of outside Travis County. And so we've started up and had to shut down, and started up and had to shut down, and we've started up again. And to go out there on a Friday night or Thursday night or whatever it is, and to take a deep breath of fresh air and just breathe and say, you know what, we're playing. That has been really refreshing to me, and just in the coaches that I've talked to as well. They're just happy to be out there, and we're actually to get a chance to get going. So that's been really positive, really fun. There's a lot of challenges ahead of us, and it's still difficult. The flexibility piece that was brought up, I think, is really important, because that's what we're not used to as ADs and as coaches. And the hardest part is we're used to having a schedule that's set and in place for the entire season, right? Or the entire year or whatever. And that's what we go with. And we don't have that now. We're having to change and adjust on a weekly or even daily basis as things happen, as things come up. And, and so it's a lot of extra on top of, our jobs that are already, long and difficult, to add that layer of complexity and flexibility that we got to have to, manage it all is a challenge. And so we just got to continue to communicate with each other, work together as a team, help each other out through this. And so those are the two things I would say, Lynn. Thank you.
Thanks, Leon. Dwayne, how about up in Round Rock?
Yeah, I'll just kind of further expand what Leo was saying. It's just seeing on the positive side a bunch of very competitive coaches being willing to sit in a room and do what's best for kids. We've had to make lots of schedule adjustments and changes. We're going to compete directly with Monday Night Football here in a couple of weeks. So we're going to play varsity football on a Monday night, and then we're going to compete Saturday afternoon with your ABC game of the week. So willing to do that. And again, it's been refreshing to see those people work together so well for the good of kids. And then on the negative side, one of the things we've seen is, I think due to the virtual learning and so many kids staying at home at this point, we've actually seen an increase, especially in our middle schools, in our failure rates. I'm guessing it's just for whatever reason they're not turning in assignments. Seems to be a big reason why kids fail. But our failure rates are up in our middle schools. So our numbers are down, not necessarily overall in programs, although they are, but the number of kids that right now are eligible is definitely down because of failure rates.
I think that's a huge concern with all of us right now. It's first time to grade somebody virtual. How do you do it? What do you base it on? And many times the academic side does not understand what we're trying to do on the athletic side either. So it makes it very, very difficult in that. We did have one question from Jody Moore, and she said, do y'all foresee the live streaming sticking around after this year? I've talked to some parents and they seem to enjoy the access. So I'm going to send that one to Bob, because he's been talking with the rest of the regions around the state. Bob, what kind of feedback have you gotten on that?
I think with the investment that those 3 or 4 companies have made in providing the equipment was significant. And like the comment I heard earlier, the fact now that an aunt or an uncle or a grandparent or a friend that lives out of state can have access to nearly anything that you're doing middle school wise or high school wise, I think it's a big benefit to the fans of athletics. I'm aware of the amount of work it probably took to put all that in place, but I really feel like, with the possible exception of Friday nights, which is an exception they allowed for us this year, I bet we continue those things. The feedback I've gotten around the state has been a very positive thing for friends and families to be able to take part in our games knowing they couldn't be present.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Bob. The next question, playoffs are just around the corner for volleyball and for football. How are you handling securing a venue, or how are you going to handle securing a venue for your teams, or will you look to go more home with the COVID virus? Dwayne, you want to answer that one?
Yeah, I will say, just based on the realignment that took place and the proximity for us, that I do have a lot more home and home. As you know, we play that Austin district in the first round, and so we're all right next door neighbors. So I anticipate home and home. Even our second round going down to San Antonio, other than maybe stopping in San Marcos for a few games, I could see us doing a whole lot of home and home stuff. I really do.
Excellent, thank you. Brad, can you tell us a little bit up in Waco area?
Sure, yeah. We've tried to get our other district to agree to, 1 and 2's host and 3s and 4's travel, just because it is difficult getting sites. We're going through that with tennis right now, and a lot of facilities we've called about have said, hey, we're not hosting due to COVID. So we've tried to go 1 and 2 at home and 3 and 4 travel.
And has that worked well? Are people responsive to it?
Yes, I think everybody understands what the landscape looks like right now, and it's difficult to find facilities.
Okay, Jason?
Lynn, I'm not sure that we've made it that far, started talking about that. I would hate to pull that away from our head coaches, as much as we can. Some of them have strong feelings about, wanting to play a neutral site, and try to leave that up to them as much as we can. But I certainly understand people not wanting to host. That's gonna present a problem.
Janice?
So we're somewhat like Jason, going to allow our coaches to make whatever decision is best for their kids if we can find neutral sites. We have decided that we will host if we have availability, but now with volleyball and basketball and all the things overlapping, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. Small school, large school, and if you've got room to host them.
That's true. It's so very true. All right, I'm not going to ask everybody every single question. I wanted everyone to answer that first one. I was intrigued to see what you would say. But let's move to number 3 now, which has anyone had to make up any games due to COVID, and what will it look like closer to the end of the season? Leo, I'm gonna let you start.
Okay, thank you, Lynn. So yes, we have, and I kind of discussed it a little bit earlier, kind of the way we're working through that. We have had to make up some games, and we're obviously trying to reschedule that game to the most nearest open date. And so we'll work with the teams involved. And yeah, sometimes you got to make that call, to the other opposing school or district and say, hey, we've got to cancel or reschedule. And so, we've done that, and we've, just communicated that to all of our, to the other outside teams and coaches and so forth. And what does that look like? We don't have those details really lined out yet. I do think we have some good guidelines, though, to help guide us there. And those are some of the things that I had mentioned earlier. I just jotted them down, is that, we'll reschedule to open date. We'll try to stay away from forfeit as much as we can. We'll try to use a 5-day rule, if, as we get to the end of the season. There could be a mini round robin, 1 or 2 team tournament potential. Those are things that we've never done before, right? Those are things that we can look at doing to help alleviate some of the scheduling pressure that's going to be there at the end of the season, because it is going to be there. There's going to be some scheduling pressure to get those games in at our facilities. And especially when you're looking at holidays and those kind of things, it makes it challenging. So I think those are some guidelines that we have to help get us there, but we've got to really hammer out some of those details and get that squared away as we move forward.
Lil, you mentioned open dates. How did you come about having open dates in your football schedule?
Well, some of our, as we were scheduling, I know that in a lot of our head coaches, they make the schedule. And so there's maybe a bye week or a game or 2 that's in there as we've rescheduled. If there's an open date that you can potentially go to, I know some of our 5As may have 1 or 2. And so we would just go to that, potential date. We're looking at even a Saturday, for example. I think in one case, we may play on a Saturday, or we're even looking at the Friday after Thanksgiving. I know one of our teams is looking at as a possible date to play some games. And so it will put some extra pressure on our staff to, maybe have to come in or to open up those facilities during that time. And that's what we'll do. If we can get everything together. And again, like Dr. Brodeup said, it's for the kids. This is a different year. Everything that we've done before, you can't really go by that in a lot of instances. And so we're going to do what it takes and to the best of our ability to provide those opportunities for our kids that are participating.
Thank you, Leo. Andy, can you talk on that a little bit? You need me to repeat the question?
Yeah, we have not had a had to make up a game yet for volleyball or football. We've had kids who our coaches found out the day of the game they got contact tracing, had to miss a game, which is a whole nother scenario. But in fact, as far as making up in the season, Jason and Todd, we just met yesterday, our district, and we've in the process, I believe, of changing our open dates to the last 2 weeks of the season to have a little more leeway in case we have multiple games that have to be made up in district play.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing that with us, Andy. Next question. And this may have jumped the gun a little bit. You may not have gotten to doing around to planning this, but how is your district handling COVID makeups for basketball? I know coaches are starting to talk in basketball, and have you had those conversations? Tani?
Yeah, every time somebody says the word basketball, I just cringe. I'm like, I can barely handle what we have right now. But I think right now we are, they've built in open dates throughout the season, throughout the district season to allow for those makeup games. And then they've got Saturdays available. That's going to be interesting because basketball's playing a full schedule. They're not on an abbreviated schedule. So it's going to be interesting to see how that works out.
Very good. Dwayne?
Yeah, we're going to plan to use those Saturdays because you could play the 3 in the calendar week. So just like we're doing for volleyball currently, we'll use those Saturdays.
Okay. Todd?
Yeah, we'll do the same thing. We've built in all that space for Saturdays, and we'll make adjustments as we see necessary. Obviously, at this point, we're so far ahead of it that, I mean, we don't know what the heck's going to happen in football still, in volleyball. You know what I mean? We met as a DEC basically the other day in football and just said, everybody understand that we're going to have to do this like 10 more times probably. Everybody understands that we're not going to have this. We're not going to be able to write it all down right now. And we're just going to have to be able to come back and be flexible. So, yeah, we'll use those Saturdays. We use those extra days that we can.
Thank you, Todd. Janice?
We're expecting the same as the others to use some Saturdays and just try and have a full schedule and give the kids as much opportunity as we can.
Excellent. Thank you all very much. What kind of experience are you having with online ticketing? And we kind of answered this a little while ago with our positive. It sounds like it's very positive in the areas, but the question I would like to find out, is your online ticketing vendor able to keep up with the demands that you have for your ticketing process? And are you selling at your middle schools? So I'm going to ask Brad, why don't you start with this one?
Yeah, for the most part, they can. We've got some different rules where it opens up to senior parents first or senior students first. So it's supposed to convert over at midnight. There's been a little bit of a delay. So I've gotten some complaints from junior parents staying up at midnight wanting to buy tickets, and it doesn't really open up till 12:40. That's really been our only real complaint, but we're only doing online tickets for varsity football. So everything else is kind of your traditional in-person.
So you're still doing in-person ticketing. Okay, good to know. Todd?
Yeah, we're completely electronic with everything. The part that's kind of strange is we have 2 different systems going on. We've got our system that we use here at the stadium for varsity football that's really good about handling the larger scale event, and kind of what Brad was talking about. We've got, we make it open to parents on this day. We send the link to the parents, all that kind of stuff. We're using a completely different system for everything that's back on the campuses. So for volleyball, sub-varsity football, middle school, it's able to, the system that we use at the stadium wasn't going to be able to handle as many smaller events. And so we have a different vendor that we're using for the on-campus events that's worked out really, really well, that we've been really excited about. And so, we've used it all the way down to our middle school. So it's had hiccups, you know what I mean? It's not bulletproof, but we're working through it, and we're really, really happy with what we've got so far.
Todd, who are you using? Our district has RevTrack, and so it's a system that RevTrack has a partnership with a company called Vanco, VANCO,
And because our district already used RevTrack for other stuff, that we were able to use Vanco without any really additional cost to us. And so they're really good. Like we have athletic admins on each high school campus. And so they kind of just run, they're able to kind of just run it on their campus for their own. Like I never even see them in my office.
That's awesome. Good idea. Dwayne?
Yeah, we're just doing it for the varsity football games, and like everyone else said, that's gone real well. We're just doing the in-person sales for the sub-varsity stuff, middle school sports, that sort of thing. And then, of course, for our middle school gym sports, we've had to go to just giving tickets to the players, a number of tickets based on capacity. So that's caused us some headaches, but overall, just online ticketing with e-tix has been really good.
Leo?
Well, it's been pretty rough for us. I mean, I know, Lynn, you know, and Denise on our call, you know, it's better now. We definitely have had our share of issues with just getting the support that we need, you know, for our tickets and everything. We launched an app that we sell our tickets through, and we're not selling any tickets at the gate, for example, at our football games and so forth. And so, but in that app, you can purchase tickets. And so we've communicated that and got that out. But just in terms of getting it turned on, like getting the tickets turned on so that you can purchase through the app, for us has been a challenge, because I feel like our provider has been just kind of overwhelmed, and I get it, right? There's a lot of schools out there, and there are probably more schools reaching out to, you know, have that service or asking them up for that service now. And so it was hard there, because we had tickets, you know, before in the past, we'd have tickets that would go online, you know, a week before the game, or the Monday of the game, you know, the Monday or Tuesday of that, you know, game on Thursday or Friday. And we've had issues with it not coming on until very late, or with even in 24 hours before the game. So we had to field some of those calls. So it has been a challenge for us, even though it's good, right? I mean, overall, like, it is the right direction for us to go, and I'm glad that we went that direction. And it has gotten better, right? This week, we've been able to get the tickets turned on much earlier. I talked with Leslie and, you know, in our ticket office here, and we've had those turned on. And so it's gotten smoother, but for a little while there, those first couple weeks, it was difficult for us. But again, it's gotten better, so we're going to continue with that.
Lil, are you using online ticketing for all sports, or just your varsity football?
Yeah, it's all the sports. We got our middle school, we got them turned on as well. Now, not every single on-campus sport, for example, is using the online ticketing portion. They are still using the old way, if they choose to do so. And in a couple instances, they're because we're so limited in fans, they're not selling, and that's been okay as well. You know, we were at 10%, which is almost nothing in some of our gyms, and so it almost doesn't make any even sense to sell, you know, 10 tickets or whatever. And so, yeah, there is a hybrid there, to answer your question, Lynn, but for the most part, we are pushing, you know, that everything go through the app and through our online ticketing portion.
All right, very good. I had one other question, but we're running a little bit late on time, and I know your time is precious. You've got a lot to deal with, and I want to thank the panel today for your discussion. I'm hoping that this is something that those of you that are listening in has helped you and given you some ideas. It's like when you go to a clinic, if you can take one thing away from what was discussed during the day, it's been a successful meeting. So everyone, thank you again for your time being here and the information you have shared with us. I really do appreciate that. And I know Texas High School Athletic Directors Association does too. Bob, tell Rusty hello, and thank you again for doing the webinar, for allowing us to have this platform to get the message out there. We thank you very much as well.
Happy to do it. Thank you, Lynn.
All right. Everyone have a great day. Are there any questions? I didn't ask about questions, but I think we're good.
Good.